Hello everyone and welcome to part 3 of my mega review for the B&M sets quarter 3 for 2021. In part 1 we looked at the triple packs, please go and check that out if you haven't already. In part 2 we looked at the Dalek packs, so please go and check that out if you haven't seen already. But today for part 3 we are going to be looking at the First Doctor and TARDIS set. So here we have our First Doctor and TARDIS from An Unearthly Child set. Obviously we have a re-release of the First Doctor with the hat and the scarf, although I'll come back to that in a minute because there's an interesting difference there. And obviously we have a new First Doctor TARDIS, although this TARDIS has some differences on it, because if I turn around the box to get a look at the back, obviously we've got a bit of blurb about the episode. We of course have some information about the prop, but the eagle-eyed amongst you may notice new roof piece. So let's get into this box and have a look. So here we have the box insert. I am not seeing, I have just had a very careful look, I can't see anything that immediately jumps out to me as a deliberate Easter egg. The only thing I have noticed is there is some sort of something here which seems to have been sort of superimposed as part of the design, and it sort of has a different resolution quality to the rest of it. I can't make out what it is though because it's very dark, so I don't know whether that is meant to be just something that is just there for this and it's part of it, or whether that is meant to be something. It could be I want to say it could be a Dalek eye stalk or a Dalek plunger, but I could be wrong on that. But other than that, it is fairly standard. The interesting thing I've noticed on this though is when you on the bottom, it has these two fold-out flaps, which sort of seems to open up the scene a bit more. I don't know whether that's deliberate for the case of having it to be on display, or whether that is just to make it a bit more sturdier in the box, but it's certainly an interesting thing that it's on there. But that is the backdrop. Let's get into having a look at the TARDIS and the Doctor. So here are the TARDIS and Doctor. So the Doctor figure, very nice, pretty much the standard sort of Unearthly Child figure we had before in terms of the head sculpt and the jacket, closed jacket. He's obviously got the scarf, but the one thing he doesn't have is the cape, which obviously is interesting, but I don't know whether that means that this particular scarf is an entirely new sculpt, or whether they have adapted the cape and removed the cape and made the scarf up as well. But obviously it does mean that there is that piece. Although, having said that, maybe this could be, I would have to check, but it could be the same sculpt they used for the Tartan Zygon's Fourth Doctor scarf. I don't know. Anyway, either way, that is the figure. Obviously very nice, you know, a little bit of difference there. Obviously slightly different tone of trousers. Again, black and white. I think they can allow themselves a degree of artistic license on there, which is very nice and looks very nice. The TARDIS itself looks absolutely fantastic. Obviously, I'll go over the changes to the box in a minute, but in terms of the overall weathering, is very nice. It sort of is that sort of grimy blue with a sort of very sort of dusty overcoat to the whole thing. Doors open as standard, non-electronic, as we come to expect from the B&M ranges. I know we had the character options exclusive was electronic, but again, that's because that's the character options exclusive, you know. So yeah, it's a nice little simple box, very simple to do. So overall, in terms of the differences, starting from the top, we have now I believe we've got a round light here. I think this is a new piece. Because I seem to recall the other lights that we've had, the new lamps, have the square top. This has the round top, so we've got a new lamp piece. Obviously, new roof piece, which is absolutely fantastic, looks spot on, and certainly makes this TARDIS stand out a bit more. Definitely one that I know the fans have been clamouring for years, especially after we had the original First Doctor TARDIS release. You know, to get that put onto this figure is put on this box is absolutely fantastic. And then a very, very, very small release change, sorry, on this release, which I'm going to zoom in to show you because it's very, very easy to miss. Because if you look very carefully here and here, the windows actually are new pieces that have the splash edge, drip edge, I'm not sure what you want to call it, but the extra bit at the bottom of the window. So the windows are actually new pieces as well. It's the same on all of them all the way around. So it's fantastic. Again, it's the little details like that, and you think that's, you know, they put effort and put those little details in there. It's the things like that that I think really show how much, you know, with these B&M sets, you know, we aren't getting, I'm sure a lot of people would love this to be an electronic TARDIS, but come on. What would you rather have? Would you rather have a box that is made with brand new parts and is made to be more accurate, or one that's got electronics inside? I'm sure people are going to go, well, I want both. Well, I'm sorry, you can't have both, okay? So, at the end of the day, I know that sounds a bit arrogant, but that is my view on it. If you want, given the choice, I'm sure many people would much rather have this sort of box without electronics in it than having one that had the electronics in it but was very inaccurate, rather like the original First Doctor TARDIS release, I suppose, you know. It's such a little simple thing, but it works so well. And that's pretty much all the changes it's had to it. The only other thing that people might notice is the St. John's ambulance logo, which is sort of slightly faded and worn off. Now, the reason for this, I believe, because I seem to remember reading this on an internet, one of the Doctor Who forums, is that the St. John's Ambulance have actually revoked the use of the logo for anything other than themselves. So the reason that it's not fully visible on here is obviously, I think, as a way of getting around that. But again, you know, I think it makes sense because the logo was always sort of grimy and slightly hidden. And, you know, obviously you could have, I'm sure some people are going to say, well, they could have put it on there fully and then really grimed it up. But the thing is, with weathering, it's very hit and miss at times, and all it would take is for one box to have the logo on there fully and not to be weathered properly for there to be an issue. So by doing it this way, it's not obvious what that logo is meant to be. You know, there's no writing on it. It is just a sort of symbol. So, you know, it does work from a copyright perspective, and I can understand why they've done it. And again, there's nothing to stop the fans, once they get these box, putting the sticker on themselves, because then if, you know, at the end of the day, if the fans decide to do that, that's something the fans have done. The character options themselves haven't done it, and so, you know, there's no legal issues there. But it's nice that you've got that curve on it, because it gives you an idea of the size of it as well, which I think is very nice. Yeah, it's a fantastic looking box. Definitely one that I think is going to be a big seller. I think this is, I have to say, I think this is probably going to be the biggest seller of this wave, just simply because this is something that people have wanted for years, especially the people who missed out on getting the original box. You know, to get this set, I think is going to be is definitely going to be one that is going to be incredibly popular, and definitely one that is going to fly off the shelves, pun fully intended. So that brings to a close part 3 of my What I Think review for the B&M sets 2021. Just before I go, my final thoughts on the overall sets for this year. Obviously, a fantastic range of sets. The TARDIS set is very nice. It's nice to see some new parts in there, and also a re-release of a hatted Doctor figure. The Dalek sets, always nice to have Dalek sets. You know, they are you know, really nice pieces to have. Again, they're consistent sellers, and they're obviously very good for people who want to army build and things like that. Triple packs, again, very nice. Nice to get some smaller variations on another 5th Doctor figure, obviously, because it is one that is repeated quite often, and he doesn't have a lot of costume variation, so just very simple things in it. You know, the little things of just having a bit of weathering on him makes him stand out a bit more. Obviously, 3rd Doctor, always nice to have a variant. Nice to have the variant with the ruffled coat front, is always a nice piece to see. Always nice to have another Cyberman variant. And then obviously the Rastal Warrior robot is one that fans have wanted for many years, and it's great to see that, you know, there is a reuse between the two, you know, of using the same body for the Cyberman androids and the Rastal Warrior robot. Slightly interesting choice there, given the fact that it's gone from being ally to enemy, but it's one of those nice little interesting parts of the set that's in there. But again, it's really nice to see them, and I personally have to say, I love the fact that we're getting a reuse of this particular body, because, you know, the Cyberman androids and the Rastal Warrior, obviously they're figures that a lot of people want, but I can see those becoming figures which will be used for, you know, useful for many customs and things like that. So it's nice to see that that body is getting a more of a release as well, because it is certainly one that's very interesting and useful for custom makers. But that brings to a close, really brings to a close, part 3 of my What I Think mega review for the B&M ranges for quarter 3 or 4, 2021. As I said in the first part, at the time of recording, I don't know when these are going to be released, so there is a caption in the first part of the video, but again, I will put a caption in this one, probably also a caption in part 2, to say when they're going to be released. But, enough waffling, that does bring to a close part 3 of my What I Think Mega Review video. As always, I hope you all enjoyed this video. Like, favourite, subscribe, share, it really helps me out a lot, and be sure to check out the description below for a link to my Patreon. I'm doing my very first figure animation and you can get involved. There's exclusive content and rewards for those who do so, and funding my Patreon in any way gets your name at the end of my videos. I salute you all, and I will see you with another video very soon.